Okay, let's go to my video game collection. Honestly, I don't even know what number this is. It's been a while, and I feel like a complete douche. So there will be a growing my video game collection one time, bare minimum, every 2 weeks from now on. Or I will film myself jumping in the frozen lake behind me. Okay, first thing I want to do, though, I want to give away this copy of Okami. Last video I talked about giving this away. I found it with some of the other stuff I bought. So I have everyone's name in the Pikachu backpack. So we're gonna finger bang one out of here, and then send me a message with your address, and I'm gonna send this to you. I've been rebooted. You probably cannot see that. I've been rebooted. Yeah, send me a message. I'll send it out to you. I'm gonna definitely put some more stuff in there because it's been so long since the last video. I got tons of stuff here. I've played all of it. So yeah, let's start. Let's see what I have here. The first thing I went to a flea market, and some guy had 2 games in his booth. I got these for $4 a piece. The first is Fighter's Destiny. There was an episode of Growing My Video Game Collection where I said, if there's any game where you know what console it's on, it's Amazing Island, which is like the GameCube. And obviously that is very blatantly obvious that it's from the GameCube. But this Fighter's Destiny it could not have been on any other console besides the N64. One thing that stands out to me about this game is like it's a fighting game, but you can like KO the other opponent in like 5 seconds. It's like Bushido Blade. Like it could be a long round, but Bushido Blade has, swords and stuff. So you could outright kill the opponent immediately with like a perfect hit or whatever. And that has this. This game's okay. I don't know. It's really quick, and it's whatever. It's not bad. It's not amazing. It's just it's an N64 game. I don't know. This is Paperboy for the Genesis. This is the Tengen version, which is, I believe, the arcade port. So it has way better graphics than the NES one. I'm a huge Paperboy fan. It's great in the arcades. It's great at home. So yeah, I'm happy to have this. It plays well. Also, I was trying to collect all the Tengen games for the Genesis because there's a bunch. So anyway, it's Paperboy. It's good. That's it. I've never been able to beat it, but someone somewhere has. I got one game here from eBay, and this is Kicks Ultimate, or Ultimate Kicks. So Tetris is my favorite puzzle game of all time. But Kicks is a very cool puzzle game where you're like a ship and you have the whole screen and you have to cut out like 80% of the screen without getting your ship destroyed. And once you cut out 80% at least, the level ends and you go to the next level. Very basic, very good idea, and it's like very addictive. This adds a lot of graphical upgrades. It's a very nice looking game. It's very cool. It keeps the same play style as the old ones. The only gripe I have about this game is the sound effects are fucking awful. Like literally like ear-splitting awful. I'll actually show you the sound that this game makes. You can hear for yourself. Whenever I go out to visit my buddies, there's one pawn shop that I always go to. They always have all kinds of cool stuff. These games happen to be $3 a piece. The first is Hard Hitter Tennis. This is an Atlas game. This is one of the only reasons I bought this. But this is actually a really good tennis game. When I played and beat the Mario tennis game for the 3DS, to me, it's a hard sell because that game isn't very good and its play style is like really restrictive. Like I pretty much had an aneurysm trying to beat that game. But this game has way better control. It's a way better game. I mean, if this didn't have an Atlas logo, probably nobody would ever buy it. It is a tennis game, but the characters kind of remind me of like a character set up from Dead or Alive. I don't know, you'll see it on the screen. But it controls really well and it actually plays really well. So if you see it, pick it up. Bare minimum to add it to your Atlas collection. They also have this game, Fortified Zone. This really reminds me of a combination of Zelda and Metal Gear. So you can be a male or a female, and when one gets captured or dies, you become the other one and you can continue the story. Graphics are cool. Game is fun. It's good. I don't know. Yeah, play it. If you see it, pick it up. And I got 3 NES games. I'm going to start from the worst and get to the best. WrestleMania Steel Cage Challenge. Music in this game rocks. The game itself blows. There's also no music during the wrestling parts. I like that you can wrestle in a steel cage. And also I like that you can actually identify and tell who the people are. When it's Hulk Hogan, I mean, you can see in his, like the picture of him, and when he's actually wrestling, you can kind of tell it's Hulk Hogan. But this game, it sucks. This game blows. The soundtrack is great. The rest of the game blows. If you know the game Pro Wrestling, which is like a black box NES game, I love that game. It's 100 times better than this. Get that instead. I've never been able to beat that game, but it is really good. The next one is Karna. This is the Data East. Apparently this is an arcade hit. I've never seen an arcade cabinet of this. This is like a side-scrolling shooter platformer. It's actually quite original. And the more I played this, the more I liked it. The soundtrack never stood out to me as being anything amazing. But, for example, you can get a ladder, and then as you're going through the game, there might be a power-up that's high in the air, so you have to use the ladder, climb the ladder, get the power-up, and then the ladder... So it's like a one-time use. So the ladder's gone, and then you might have a power-up, and you can do better through the level. It's interesting. It's good. Like I said, the more I played it, the more I liked it. The thing I think that's funny about this game is on the cover, he's like in really good shape, and he looks like he's, I don't know, he works out or whatever. But in the game, he kind of has like a Buddha belly. But it's good. If you see it, pick it up. And then the last one, which I actually really like this game. This is Mission Impossible. This is an Ultra game, which Ultra was the like sister company or daughter company or whatever of Konami in the 80s and 90s, or I don't know. It was at one point. So the soundtrack immediately sticks out to me as it's probably the same guy who did the soundtrack for the Ninja Turtles game, the first Ninja Turtles game, because it sounds a lot like very reminiscent of it. One thing that's cool about this is you can switch between 3 characters. One guy shoots a rifle, one throws a boomerang, and one is like a boxer. And it's one of those things where someone says, oh, you need a card to get through here, then you have to go find the card, then you show the card, then you get through there. And it's top down. I probably died 15 times in a row when I first played this, because every time you ever kill a civilian, a helicopter comes and kills you. But you can swap through the characters whenever you want to. It's interesting, it's good, and this game is cheap as hell. I had a good time playing that. There is, at one of my local game stores, there's a section where everything is $1. So I picked up these 4 things, cost me $4. The first is San Francisco Rush 2049. This was on a ton of different consoles. I'm pretty sure this was on Dreamcast, N64, PlayStation 1, and the Game Boy Color. And whoever made this game should straight up be slapped in the face. The graphics in this game are worse than like a 1980s Game Boy game. It's pretty awful. When I got this, I think a pen had exploded in the cartridge, so it was like covered in like lint that was like glued to the contacts. I had to take the whole thing apart and scrub it, and it might have even just been a waste of time. It's really not good. There are these kind of 3D sections when you actually go around the track, and actually those are kind of impressive, but the game stinks. There's no save battery. Everything about that game blows. They just dropped the ball in every way. The next thing I got for $1, it wasn't Metroid Prime Hunters, but it was the Rumble Pack for it. So that was there. I didn't have it. I had the rest of the game. Might as well pick it up. The next was a white PlayStation, old school PlayStation controller. So this would be for the DualShock. This is the original. Well, the gray one is the original controller I had when I first got my PlayStation. And this is actually one of my favorite controllers all time. I put it right up there with the Super Nintendo one. It's very basic, but it like does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's white. I'm a controller whore. I picked it up. I didn't have this. Well, I mean, I do now. And then the last thing was Whittle Brother. It's like a tongue twister. Whittle Brother. Posted a video one time when he picked up a Maximo statue, and he was talking about how there's 2 Maximo games. I only had the first one. I had, I can't remember what it was called. But this is the second one, which is Maximo versus the Army of Zin. I didn't even know this game even existed until he talked about it. The Maximo series feels a lot like a combination of The Legend of Zelda and Ghouls and Ghosts. So if you like both of those games, get it. Play it. The graphics are fantastic. The gameplay is fantastic. It's great overall. And I actually beat Super Ghouls and Ghosts. I had to keep my Super Nintendo on for like a week to do it. But this game this is one of those games where you put it in and like you feel like it's like 10 minutes later and you look at the clock, an hour and a half has gone by. So pick this up. I never see this game, but I mean it exists. It's not very expensive and it is really good. So there's two. There's the first one and then versus the Army of Zin. You see them, pick them up. One of my local game stores just had tons of Game Boy Advance games that were just $1 a piece. I want to include a Game Boy Advance game in this video because the last video didn't have any, and Game Boy Advance, as I always say, is like my favorite console to collect for. This is Spider-Man Mysterio's Menace. This game reminds me a lot of the 32X Spider-Man game, graphically. It's well done, the cutscenes are very comic book-like, and I had a good time playing this game, although some shit can be really cheap. But, yeah, it's good. I recommend it. I don't know. If you see it, pick it up. It's not expensive. I went out of town for, with my girlfriend, and I met up with a guy who was selling games. All of this guy's games were insanely overpriced. Like, he's the worst reseller on the planet because I went to this guy's house, and I was kind of creeped out because it was like 7. It was kind of getting dark. And I go into this house, I go into his house, and he just has tons of games, and he's showing them to me. And as I'm asking him how much all the games were, he's pretty much just going to eBay. I mean, I could have just done that myself and saved myself the trip. But there was one game with a huge sticker over it. And he looked at it, he had no clue what it was, and he just told me it was $10. And it was Gargoyles Quest. So, Firebrand is one of the enemies in Ghouls and Ghosts and Super Ghosts and Goblins. Yeah, I always get those two confused name-wise. Anyway, he got his own series of games. He got Gargoyles Quest 2, and Demon's Crest on the Super Nintendo. This is the first one. This is beat. So there was stickers all over this. I got them off. There was also stickers on the back. And the bottom of this was cracked. I super glued it back together. Doubt you can see it from there. But it does play. Plays fine, works fine. There was a huge sticker over it, so he had no clue what it was. He just said $10. And I honestly, I was going to buy this anyway for $10 because I've been looking for it, but I would have honestly just bought anything to just give the guy some money and get the hell out of there. So luckily, at least this, he didn't know what it was, and I've been looking for it, so $10 is still a great price for that game. Salvation Army had half-off games. This was $3, half-off was $1.50. It was Miss Pac-Man. This is another Tengen game. This game, it's almost there, but the bottom, like 20% of the screen is always cut off, and when you go down, the screen actually scrolls up, and then you can see the full bottom, but the top is cut off, and then when you go back up, it'll scroll back down. That kills this game for me. 100% kills this for me. I understand, like, arcades were kind of rectangle, the screens, and televisions were square, so I don't really know exactly how they figured they were going to fit this in, but that is not the way to do it. The game itself doesn't suck, like it's a port of Pac-Man, but that mechanic is shit, and I don't know why that was even released. Two more things. Muramasa, the Demon Blade. Honestly, I just bit the bullet and bought this for $10 before I can't find it. This game is, this copy is complete, but this game is really nice looking. And when I first booted this up, I thought it was going to have motion controls, and I was immediately disappointed. And then when it didn't have motion controls, I was immediately happy. It looks great. This is a great game overall. Very fun. You can be the male or the female. Of course, as always, I picked the female. It's a great game. This also, you can use a classic controller, a GameCube controller, or you can use the Wiimote with the nunchuck. That's what I used, and it was actually pretty pleasant. I had no issues playing this. Fun, good game, and it just looks beautiful. Get it. There's no reason not to have it. Lastly, I go to this one Savers on my way to my grandma's house every Thursday, and it seems like Thursdays when they restock stuff. So I went there. There was a bunch of PS2 stuff. First one I picked up, these were all $1.99, was Woody Woodpecker. I'm pretty sure these are all complete, but so Woody Woodpecker, this is cell shaded. It's Woody Woodpecker. Honestly, it controls fine. It's like a 3D platformer. I just don't know if is Woody Woodpecker even relevant? I don't know. I don't know why this was even made, honestly. It's not that it's bad, and it's weird that, I don't know. You'll see in the video, it's just kind of weird. I don't know. Why was this made? I don't know. Whatever. I didn't have it. Ed, Ed, and Eddie, the Misadventures. This game is cool. One thing I really like about this is all the different Eds have different... They do different things. So you kind of have to know which one to use. You can also use all of them together. And depending like who's on the bottom, I think they do different things. Fun. Honestly, I like this game. I played this game for quite a bit. I don't know anything about Ed, Ed, and Eddie because I've never seen the show. Best game probably of the PS2 stuff. Teen Titans. The cool thing about this game is as you play through this game, it's also complete. As you play through this game, you unlock different characters to play like in a battle arena. So think about Guardian Heroes. How there's a part where you can play like as the hamster. This is like that exact same thing. So you unlock these like characters who are not the main characters, and at the end you can have this like big battle arena where four people can play, but you could probably have computer opponents. The cool thing about this, though, is 4 people can actually cooperatively play the main story. So we will be 2-pro noobing this at some point. I don't know anything about Teen Titans, but this game plays well. It controls well. It's like a 3D brawler beat 'em up. It's fun. Very good. If you see it, pick it up. And then the last game that I picked up that I needed there was Grandia, and this was $1.99. It's like you can ask yourself, like, how do you know if the games haven't been picked through? If fucking Grandia is sitting there for $1.99, then you were probably the first one to the pile. This has its manual and everything. This game actually wouldn't boot on my PS2. I think the PS2 is just wrecked because the discs look perfect. But, yeah, cool. I left the sticker on that just because it's Grandia for $1.99. Alright, so the last game that I found there is what I'm giving away. I already have it. It's Kingdom Hearts 2. So leave a comment. And I'll give this away in the next video. I'll also put some other stuff with it, whatever I find on my travels. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2 Black Label, but the disc for some reason is Orphan, greatest hits, whatever. Alright, stuff I've been playing, reading, and listening to. I played Ocean Commander. This game doesn't get any love. I never hear anyone talk about this game. It's cheap as shit. I just saw it on the shelves today at a game store for $2.99. This is like a side-scrolling shooter where all the submarines are like metal sea creatures. So there's like a crab on the cover, there's like a shark and a whale. I love that design. Anyway, it's really good. And there's tons of different upgrades you can have for the ship. And you don't just like assign a couple upgrades. You legitimately get all the upgrades at once. So as you go, you get money, you dump the money into the upgrades. And by the time, you're a couple levels in, you're just owning shit. This does have motion controls, but the motion control is only used to aim some of the weapons. So it doesn't get in the way. I didn't have any issues with the motion controls in this game. This game looks great, plays great, very fun, cheap as hell. Next time you see it, pick it up. I've been listening to Together. This is the soundtrack from the movie. So good. This is like it's like a mockumentary kind of thing of like boy bands, like NSYNC or Backstreet Boys. And this soundtrack, though, is 10 out of 10 legit. The Together theme song is great. You Plus Me Equals Us, the Calculus song is great. Rub One Out is great. Say It Don't Spray It is great. There was another song that might be on the next CD called The Hardest Part of Breaking Up is Getting Back Your Stuff. Just listen to this. It's got to be on YouTube. Just listen to the whole thing. It's fucking awesome. Movie I watched that I loved was Grosse Point Blank. It has, what's his name?
John Cusack.
It has John Cusack.
Joan Cusack also.
And Joan Cusack is in it. It has John Cusack, Joan Cusack. It has Dan Aykroyd, and it has Minnie Driver, who is absolutely beautiful in that movie. John Cusack is an assassin, and it's his 10-year high school reunion, even though they're all way older than that when the movie was made. And so like he's coming back to go. Minnie Driver, he like stood up on like prom night or whatever to go live his life in the military. So he is like an assassin, and Dan Aykroyd is an assassin, but Dan Aykroyd wants to kill John Cusack. Really funny movie. You should watch it. Some of my favorite deaths from ridiculous weapons. Send me a message. I've been rebooted. That's the stuff I picked up. I'll have another video in 2 weeks or less. That's it. Peace.